I looked at the team that I'm about to talk about before I started recording, and I was like, oh dear. Oh, okay. Oh my goodness. This team has an extremely high ceiling, but they also have an extremely low floor. And because of the decisions that they made in this offseason, the team I'm talking about today is the Chicago Bulls. What is the direction of this team? That's my first note. What is the direction of this team? Because you look at the past 2 years of the Chicago Bulls. They were really bad. They got Zach LaVine, still really bad, but they got Zach LaVine. That was a good thing. And then they got DeMar DeRozan and Nikola Vucevic and Lonzo Ball. And they were looking like a really good team. Alex Caruso too. They added him. Looking like a really good team. They started winning games. They were the 1 seed. Everybody was talking about them. DeMar DeRozan was hitting game winners. Everything was going amazing. And then Lonzo Ball got injured. And then the team fell to the 6th seed. And then they got gentlemen swept. I can't remember if they got swept or gentlemen swept. But they lost to the Bucks in the first round. Yeah. The Bulls, man, the Bulls. I don't know what the point. What's the point? Because coming into the off season, when you look at this team, it's either you make a drastic change to make your team a lot better, or you make a drastic change to make your team a lot worse. Because right now you're in the mid tier. You're not good enough. Because when you look at the East right now, there's really like 3 or 4 teams, or 4 or 5 teams that actually have a chance to contend. When you look at this Bulls team, it's either you gotta make your team substantially better to join that little group of teams at the top, or tank, trade away your good players for picks and stuff, and make your team a lot worse. And looking at the Bulls' history, I understand why they wouldn't want to tank, because they've been bad. They were bad for really bad for a good 5-6 years. And when they finally got the 1 seed, all the Bulls fans were happy, and it looked like they had hope. And then it fell apart when Lonzo Ball got injured. And the thing is, this team, honestly, is good when Lonzo's healthy. Lonzo, Alex Caruso, Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Vucevic. That lineup was cooking in 2021 and 2022. But mainly late 2021, that team was amazing. But then Lonzo got injured and they fell off. And I mean, you look at this team, they still have guys who can hoop. Of course, they have DeMar and LaVine and Vucevic, that little big 3 right there. But DeMar's getting older. Vucevic is getting older. So both of those guys could regress. And Zach LaVine is still Zach LaVine, but it's not looking good. And when you look at the offseason changes they made, because looking at this team, when I look at their positions, this is their depth chart. Ayo Dosunmu, Zach LaVine, DeMar, Patrick Williams, Vucevic. And off the bench, they have tons of guards. I'm just going to get right into it. They have tons of guards. And they already had a stockpile at the guard position, because they had Lonzo, who was injured, but they had Ayo, Kobe White, Alex Caruso. Those 4 already is a lot of guards, plus Zach LaVine. I didn't even mention him, but he's like a wing, so I don't know if I should count him. Dalen Terry, I'm pretty sure, was there last year, right? Yep. So, or was he? I don't know. Point being, they had a stockpile at the guard position. I'm thinking this offseason they have to get more big depth, because they already have a bunch of guards. They don't need more guards. They need more bigs. What do? They sign Javon Carter and call it a day. So I'm questionable about this team. They have Andre Drummond off the bench, and Andre Drummond he's Andre Drummond. So I mean, he's not bad, but I don't know if he's enough. Just Andre Drummond off the bench, I don't know if that's enough to get it done. My prediction for this team is 30-52, 13th in the East. And this is the same record, the same spot I really had for the Blazers, except they're in the West. So, I mean, last year they were 40 and 42, 10th in the East. And it makes sense because they have DeMar DeRozan, they have Zach LaVine, they have a good collection of players. But you look at DeMar and Vucevic, and they're gonna get older, so you can't expect them to be better than they were in the past. You can't expect, you don't have, there's a better chance that they'll be worse coming into next year. And I love DeMar DeRozan. Vucevic is cool, but I don't think this is the year for them, man. And then there's the whole case with these young players. Their young core is very interesting. If you look at their young core, it's essentially Ayo Dosunmu, Dalen Terry, Kobe White, if that still counts, and Patrick Williams. I mean, Patrick Williams was a top 4 pick. Patrick Williams, when they drafted him, it was a questionable choice, even from the start. I wasn't even a Bulls fan, but I thought that the right pick would be Denny Avdija. Because I researched Denny Avdija a bit, not a lot, but a bit. And I thought Denny Avdija would have been an amazing pick. And a lot of Bulls fans wanted Denny Avdija as the 4th pick. But they ended up picking Patrick Williams. And, well, I mean, Denny hasn't been much better, but Patrick Williams hasn't been great. He hasn't really done much. I've said about a lot of players, this man's shown flashes. Has Patrick Williams really shown flashes? I don't watch the Bulls 24/7, so I don't know. But Bulls fans, tell me in the comments, has Patrick Williams really shown at least flashes of what he can be in the future? Because I don't know. So Patrick Williams is an interesting case. And of course he's still, 21 years old? He still has a lot of time to develop and maybe turn into a great player. But if you really want him to develop, you gotta let him take more opportunities. You gotta let DeMar and Zach LaVine take less shots, and especially Vucevic take less shots. And let Patrick Williams get that ball more, man. Let him cook. And maybe he can be good then. But if he isn't, then I don't know what to tell you, man. I don't know what to tell you. Man, that 2020 draft class is so weird. That's such a weird draft class. Because you have LaMelo and Anthony Edwards and Tyrese Maxey and Tyrese Halliburton and Desmond Bane. And there's those 5. But after that, it's kind of rough. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, Patrick Williams, I mean, he still has potential. But I don't know if he's gonna tap into that potential. If he does, that's great. If he doesn't. And looking at the team as a whole, even the other players in the team, I don't know about, because Kobe White has shown flashes, but he was drafted 2018. I don't really know if it's good to call him like a young player anymore. He's not really part of that young core. He's kind of just Kobe White, and he's not amazing. So, and you look at, they signed Javon Carter, who was a good player, and in theory, if they were trying to contend, if Lonzo was actually playing, that's not a bad signing. But Lonzo isn't playing. Let me get to Lonzo, actually, because Lonzo, there's been talks with Lonzo. Stephen A. Smith on his show talked about how Lonzo couldn't even walk up the stairs. And then Lonzo proved him, or get up from his chair. He doesn't even know how he's doing. And then Lonzo stood up from his chair and he was like showing him, yeah, I'm good, I'm all good. And then Stephen A. Smith responded back to that Lonzo clip saying, I don't even know I forgot what he said. But his main point was that you're not really playing right now, so there's no reason for you to say, oh, I can stand up and sit down in a chair. When will we see you on the court? And low-key, I do agree with Stephen A. on that, because Lonzo hasn't played basketball in over a year, and it's understandable because he's been injured. But we can't have hope in him. We can't put all our hopes in him getting healthy. Because there's a time limit for these guys like DeMar and Vucevic. Eventually, these guys are going to regress because they're getting older. And maybe even Zach LaVine, too. And Alex Caruso, because he's not that young either. But if Lonzo can get healthy in time and maybe these guys are good enough, maybe. But just the way I look at this, when I look at this team, I don't see any sort of contending chance at all. Even if Lonzo is healthy, this isn't a good team. So the best thing I could see them doing is tanking. Trade Zach LaVine, trade DeMar, trade Vucevic, build around Patrick Williams, Adebayo, and Dalen Terry. And whoever you get from the next draft, because they should hopefully get a high draft pick this year. And hopefully they don't sell it. So that's about it. I mean, this is an 11-minute video. Wow, I took 11 minutes. You know what? Let me talk a bit more. They have, like I said, this team has a high ceiling. Because when you have a team with DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine, and Vucevic, those are three all-star, at their peaks, all-star caliber players. So, of course, you have playoff potential. And when you look at their team as a whole, they have some shooting with Zach LaVine, Patrick Williams, Javon Carter, some good shooters there. They have good amount of defense with Caruso, Patrick Williams, and Javon Carter. I'm not even like the same players, but they have the 3, they have the D, pause, and they have a very small team. And if you think back to like 2018, this team could actually cook. They have the right pieces to be a top team, but it's a new era because back then 3-and-D and small ball was like the big thing. Now we're moving into an era of more just bigger players, like taller players, Jokic, Giannis, Vic, Embiid. I know Victor Wembanyama is crazy to mention, even though he just got drafted, but a lot of people look at him, he's a big dude, and he can do everything that the guards do. That's really what people are wanting nowadays. They want big guys who could do what guards do. Luka Doncic, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. These guys aren't the normal sizes for guards, but they're doing what guards do at their height. Shooting, playmaking, rebounding, playing defense. Well, not really Luka playing defense, but you're getting the point. Really, we're moving into an era where size matters more. Pause. And I don't know if this Bulls team really fits the new era. Put this Bulls team in the mid-2010s, I think they hoop. But right now, I don't know. If Lonzo's back, that's a different story because Lonzo is the type of guy that fits this new era. He's 6'5", 6'6". He can play make, he can shoot, he can play defense, he can do it all. But at the same time, even if first of all, it would take a minute for Lonzo to come back. Second, when Lonzo does come back, it's questionable if he'll even be as good as he was before the injury. So, the way I see it, this team doesn't have enough size, and the stars are getting older. So I don't have much hope for them. And that's where I'm really at with the Bulls. This video was a lot shorter than the 2 I just recorded, but I'm not complaining. I don't have much else to say. If you enjoyed, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment down below. Tell me what you think actually about this Bulls team, because I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts about every single one of these teams that I talk about in these videos. So tell me what you think down below. What do you think about the Bulls? What's their floor? What's their ceiling? How good can they be? Because they could definitely be really good, but they also can be really bad. So that's about it. I'll see you guys next time. I'm out.